I've seen a number of my mutuals saying that the claim that people on the left are happy about little children dying in the Texas flood, or saying, well, that's what you get, or that they deserved it, that's not actually happening. And that's like sort of a manufactured position from other folks on the left. They're like, who's actually making that claim? Who's actually getting on here and being like, well, oh, well. Well, first of all, lots of people in my comments are, especially on YouTube, lots and lots of people in my comments are taking up that position. That's what you voted for. Fuck around and find out. I'm not sorry. Well, they get what they deserved. Despite the fact, again, I'm just going to say it over and over and over again. There's no such thing as red and blue states. There's no such thing as red and blue counties. In every red county and every red state, there are loads of folks who did not want, do not support, did not vote for what we are living now. Every red state is a gerrymandered purple state. Every part of this country is diverse. Just because you're sitting very protected in a blue state like Oregon or like California, millions of people in California voted for more people in California voted for Donald Trump than people in Arkansas did. But you're like, fuck those folks in Arkansas because that's a red state. No, there's no such thing as red and blue states, y'all. And in every red state, there are tons of blue voters, and also there are tons of little children. No children voted for Donald Trump. No child deserves to suffer because of what their parents voted for. Children are human beings all on their own. They are not property of their parents. They are not a tool through which you seek retribution against MAGA. So to all of the folks who either are not getting those kinds of comments on their content, to my mutuals who are saying, nobody's saying this is manufactured so that we can be pissed at other people on the left and we can have some kind of like moral grandstanding, I would like to point you to a piece from July 8th in The Guardian. It's entitled, Texas Pediatrician No Longer Employed After Post About Pro-Trump Flood Victims. So according to The Guardian, a pediatrician, a physician for little children, who worked for a prominent Houston hospital system, is no longer employed there. A social media account associated with her published a post in which she wished Donald Trump supporting counties in Texas that they would, quote, get what they voted for amid flash flooding that killed more than 100 people, dozens of whom were children. We were made aware of the social media comment from one of our physicians, and that individual is no longer employed by Bluefish Pediatrics. The clinic said, we strongly condemn the comments that were made in that post. That post does not reflect the values, standards, or mission of our pediatric clinic. We do not support or condone any statement that politicizes tragedy, diminishes human dignity, and fails to clearly uphold compassion for every child and family, regardless of background or beliefs. The physician has been identified, but I'm not interested in naming her here. In the post that preceded the one that got the doctor fired from this pediatric clinic, she alluded to how Kerr County had, like Texas as a whole, voted in favor of Trump. The Guardian says Trump's administration has eliminated any mentions of the ongoing climate crisis. They've pulled back all kinds of climate change legislation. I know Republicans think that's all like woke ideology, and we're living in a time where Marjorie Taylor Greene is putting forth like weather manipulation, conspiracy legislation, and completely denying that climate change is a reality. And we're watching the escalating consequences of this regime prioritizing big polluters, big oil, corporate greed over sensible climate policy and climate change mitigation. And we know that with climate change comes more of these torrential downpours and flash floods and myriad other devastating weather changes, and the way that that will result in loss of life, loss of property, significant harm to communities all over this country. Obviously, as a permaculture person, I understand that the earth and people are intrinsically intertwined. We cannot harm the earth without harming people. The consequence of ignoring our obligation, our duty to care for the planet and be good stewards, absolutely comes back to bite us. And not just us, it comes back to bite most often people who are living on the margins, people who are the most vulnerable. They are the ones who suffer most in a climate change reality. Let's also not forget that Trump is phasing out FEMA. He has denied FEMA funding to several communities so far this year who have faced natural disasters. I mean, more and more and more, Trump is putting all of the burden on the states. He's like, states can take care of that. Y'all are struggling. Y'all all have budget deficits. You don't have the money for these kinds of things. We're still raking in all the tax dollars here at the federal government. We're just funneling it right up to billionaires. We're taking these tax dollars from the working class and sending it up to the billionaires. So there's no money for things like federal disaster relief for y'all over in Texas or anywhere else. So unfortunately, the post that got the doctor fired said, "May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry." And then she said, "Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for." The post concluded with the phrase, "bless their hearts," which in the U.S. South is often used as a condescending insult. I sure use it that way. That's my Texas roots coming out. This is where I just want to remind folks, we've got to hold on to our humanity, our dignity. We cannot let our bitterness, our anger, our righteous anger over what MAGA is doing corrupt us. We cannot let it strip us of our humanity. I'm just going to keep saying it in video after video. As long as I see people arguing with me in the comments, as long as I see people making content that's like, I don't feel bad for these guys. This is the consequences of their actions. Fuck around and find out. I hope that they do experience everything that they voted for. Right after the election, I was definitely guilty of saying, well, I hope you get everything that you voted for. No, I regret that I said that. At that time, I was really angry and I was speaking out of my anger. And I've since learned how to channel my anger into something more effective and something that doesn't cause me to compromise my values. Who am I as a progressive? Who am I as a leftist? Who am I as a permaculturist that advocates for earth care, people care, and fair share? Not just for some people. I don't want human rights just for some people. I don't want human rights. I don't want food, water, shelter, disaster relief just for people whose politics I find palatable. I will not let MAGA corrupt me. I will not let MAGA strip away my humanity and compassion. And I would encourage you not to let them have that power over you either. You can still want justice. You can still want accountability. You can still advocate for those things and get those things without devolving into what MAGA themselves have become, without letting your humanity be corrupted, without wanting vengeance, retribution, suffering for the people who supported Donald Trump and voted for the horror that we're living now. I feel like this doctor is one of those people who has let MAGA have that victory over her. They have let MAGA take away a precious part of her humanity, and I hope that she can reconnect with it, right? So according to the end of this piece from The Guardian, they said that she went to Princeton University. She graduated from Tulane. She had been a pediatrician for like more than 2 decades. And she had been voted best pediatrician in numerous reader polls conducted by Houston's Bel Air Examiner newspaper. She was clearly beloved, clearly mattered in the lives of these families, clearly was doing good, serving her patients, clearly is absolutely angry, enraged over the harm that Trumpers have caused. But she let her anger over MAGA disconnect her from her values, right? And it has cost her dearly. I earnestly believe that if we are going to get through this time now and come out on the other side a better society, that we have to have accountability for what MAGA are doing now. But at the same time, we must embrace our humanity. We must not let us become like them. We don't have to be permissive. We don't have to pretend this. We are definitely not going to sweep this under the rug, y'all. We absolutely cannot. But we can and should fight for human rights, constitutional rights for everybody in this country. The good things that we want America to provide for all of us, the way we want American society to function, that has to be for all of us. We do not make human rights and constitutional rights conditional on whether or not we like somebody's politics. And we definitely have got to fight back against letting our anger over MAGA corrupt us.